I went to a very special, very famous lady, and I arrived for my first lesson. Now, I looked rather, I suppose, like a care package. I used to wear little sort of plain little dresses and saddle shoes. Of course, I was young, and I arrived, never any makeup. And so I arrived at her door, and she opened it and looked at it and gave me this look from top to bottom and said, "Are you Colleen Moore?" And I was completely intimidated, and I said, "Yes, ma'am." And she said, "Well, come in." She looked at me with astonishment. She said, "Is it true that they pay you $10,000 a week?" And I said, "No, ma'am." And she seemed relieved. And I said, "They pay me $12,500. Well, it was a lovely feeling. Well, anyway, we sat down, so she began to teach me to talk. And she said, "Now we're going to learn to say mother." So I said, "Mother, mother, 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 mother." I said it for 1 hour. And when I got back to the studio, my darling little friend, one of my 26 bosses, Mr. Finkelstein, who was just my very best friend on the board, and he was waiting, and he says, "Darling, what did they teach you?" And I said, "She taught me to say mother." He said, $100, mother? And I said, "Yes." Went back the next day, and believe it or not, she taught me to say father. So he was waiting for me, and I came back, and he said, "What did you learn today, darling?" And I said, "She taught me to say father." He said, "Oi, oi, oi, $100 mother, $100 father. Before you get a vocabulary, we'll be broke."
The fear was that talking pictures would do away with some of the Europeans who didn't speak proper English. Naturally, many of them felt that they would have to return to their own countries because there would be no chance for them to be employed in English-talking pictures.
MGM delayed Greta Garbo's talkie debut for 2 years. They dared not expose her accent to the microphone and kept her making silence. In 1930, they took the plunge with Anna Christie.
Give me a whiskey. Ginger ale on the side. And don't be stingy, baby.
Well, shall I serve it in a pail?
I'll let it be down to the ground.
Garbo talked. Others with foreign accents did not. Paola Negri's contract expired in 1928. She made a new career in Germany. So did Emil Jannings. He went without even taking a voice test. Velma Banki was hampered by her Hungarian accent.
Sit down.
In the first all-talking picture, accents had been the least of the problems.
Now, we've got to cover ourselves up. I planted the stuff in Eddie's shop.
Yeah?
And the Dicks will be there at 10 o'clock.
Uh-huh.
But they must not find Eddie. Don't you understand?
What you mean?
Take him for a ride.
Oh.
Actors were mesmerized by the microphone. So were the men who operated it. Some were as much in the dark as the actors. Each seemed to favor a different system. They agreed on only one thing. The noise the camera made had to be silenced.
The camera was put in a thing that looked like a telephone kiosk. And the cameraman, the director, would have to get in there and shut the door, and there's no air conditioning, and they would lose 5 or 10 pounds during the day. And the silence of the studio was unbearable.
Nobody was talking. There wasn't that help from the director of saying you're doing fine. Now you see him at the window. Now run. Now a little faster. There. Nothing.
Weighed down with unfamiliar techniques and equipment, some filmmakers seem to have forgotten everything they had learned.
Get a load of this. Some blonde. She stopping here? No, I've never seen her before.
Film slowed down. Speech was all important.
One company, not to mention any names, bought a New York stage play, and they put this on, had a stage director do it, and all they did was photograph the stage play. A close-up of this, a long shot of that, close-up of this, and it was the dullest thing. They thought it was going to be great. It was the dullest thing. Two or three things like that, the business started to sink down under the weight of sound.
He's going to tackle those Zeppelins.
Jack, you can't. You mustn't.
It's my only chance.
Oh, Jack, you'll kill yourself.
Oh, nothing can harm me now with your love. Joan, kiss me once again before I go. All right, Tom.
No, Tom, no. Oh, Jack, for my sake, please. Jack, don't go.
Stand out of it, Charles.
Oh, no. Tom,
Charles, take it away.
No.
Please, miss.
No, Charles, don't let him go. Jack, you mustn't go. No, you'll get killed. Jack, please don't go, Jack.
Filmmakers were ruled by the man in the monitor room. Sound men were hard to find. Few dared question their competence.
Most of them had been Marconi operators on boats, and they didn't know about dialogue then, they knew about SOS, and they were inclined to be bullying. And they said, oh, well, when you go through the door, you must be quiet because we won't catch you at the other side of we must catch you until you get to the next microphone.
It couldn't possibly be that you came to see me with half an idea of accepting my proposition.
I came because I was lonesome and tired. And a little blue.
If we had a set, there was a bouquet on the table, the microphone, and there was only one, would be hidden in a bunch of flowers on the table in a vase or something. And the actors would take turns walking up to the table and speaking their lines across this microphone.
Please reconsider. It's almost ridiculous the way I love you.
Not ridiculous.
All of the sound geniuses decided this was their moment to take over the picture business.